Good evening, good evening, good evening, you all. It is another blessed night here at the Open Door Live. It's me, Rashard White. I am so honored and excited about tonight's show because, we've gone all across the land and country. We talked to artists near and far, but I would be a poor man to not acknowledge the reason why I have the spiritual background and the spiritual foundation that I have, the business sense that I have, is because of my pastor. And I'll give credit where credit is due. My pastor, Bishop Frank McLeod, is coming in tonight. We're going to talk about going in and possessing the land, owning real estate, being financially savvy, knowing how to make your money make money. Okay? So, y'all, we here. I know I've been gone for a few weeks, but hey, we're going to have a good show tonight. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? If you're here and you're ready, put it in the comments and just say, I'm ready. I'm ready. Come on, let's rock and roll. All right. So y'all, tonight, with it being a night of honor and appreciation, not just appreciation, but just I have so much wisdom that's coming on the show, I opted on not doing a spotlight. I wanted to give this time solely to my pastor, to give him space to share the wisdom and knowledge that he's gained. So I'm churchy, y'all. So we're going to go straight in and talk about the background of this wonderful man that I call my pastor. So Bishop Frank McLeod is the presiding bishop of Houses and Prayer Incorporated, and he is also the pastor of God's House of Prayer in Auburn and Camphill. It's one church in two locations. We are on, hold on, make sure, because he didn't even know I went ahead. I got graphics together. We got the works pulled out for the night. So I want y'all to make sure that y'all are able to follow the ministry and follow what Bishop McLeod is doing. So I want you to keep up with Bishop Frank McLeod and God's House of Prayer. Y'all don't go to IG and follow at GHOP HC. That's God's House of Prayer Holiness Church. And also you can do it with a Facebook search at GHOP HC as well. Go to the church website at www.bishopbishop.org. I want y'all to stay in the loop. You need to know what's going on with the ministry and understand the great work that is going forth, okay? So I'm not going to prolong the time. I promise you we're not going to be here all night because there's some good stuff that's going to be said. And if you're an entrepreneur and you are trying to build your brand and better your household and increase your finances, pull your notebook out. We're going to go ahead and dive in. And I'm going to invite my pastor in. I'm going to the door right now. I'm going to let him in. Hold on one second. Bishop, how you doing, sir?
I am doing well, Dr. Rashad. Doing very good. How are you doing?
Man, I am doing wonderful. I am so honored to have you on tonight. And I know the comment section, everybody is saying hello, hello. They're glad to see you on tonight. So, Bishop, first of all, just how are you feeling? How are you glad to be here tonight?
I am very glad. I'm very proud of you. One of my young men in the church that's not sitting back, complaining. You're doing something. You're doing kingdom work. And kingdom work is not only just in the church.
Yes, sir.
Kingdom work is also in our natural life. But the Bible says first natural, then spiritual. Amen. So but I'm so glad to see you as a young man striving to be successful. You just passed your RN test. And at the same time, you have not forgotten about who brought you here. Not me, Jesus.
Yes,
has
sir.
been good to both of us. Amen.
Yes,
So
sir.
many people reach a point in their life and their career, they forget about the church. They forget about where they got their start. And
Yes,
that
sir.
is terrible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I refuse to be one of the ones that went on and didn't go back and say thank you. So listen, I realized, and y'all, I'm gonna give y'all a background. I grew up in this church. This has been my pastor, just like a father for me. So he dealt with me acting out in school, me cutting up at home, my mom making me go talk to my pastor and be like, hey, if you don't do something with him, I'm gonna kill him. So my pastor has been all that for me. So Bishop, I appreciate you. I honor you. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Bishop, so with your, you've kept the church going and you've done all that, but you also have found your grounding in real estate as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so just so we can have a little bit of background, how exactly, what was your job before you started dealing with real estate? What was the occupational background before you got
came up in textile?
Yes, sir.
My grandfather was a carpenter, so I knew something about building. I helped him as a boy, but I got a job in the mill, and I was actually the first black that got on the school program. I was going to school, they wouldn't let me work but 4 hours a day at Mount Vernon Mills in Tallahassee, 8 hours on Saturday. But I loved it. So I was able to go to school. I was going to school. I had dropped out of college. I didn't have anybody to help me. So I had to go to work. And I was going to trade school on a program they called a manpower program.
Okay.
So they was paying us $72 a week to go to school. And when I'm talking about 1972, that was a nice little change. Okay. Then I had a job. And working in textile, I didn't have any blacks in management. So I said at Tallahassee Mill, I'm going to be a black supervisor. Okay. That expanded years later because I went from Mount Vernon Mills to West Point Stevens, where I worked 27 years in textile, 12 in management. And actually, while I was in management, while I was in college, I got promoted to supervisor and became the first black supervisor in the weave department. We had 3 departments. One of my head deacons right now, James Woody, was the very first black supervisor in the plant, period. He was in the card room. So he opened the door. He was a trailblazer for the rest of us young boys coming along. But God blessed me to get into management, and it's something I love doing. I had a chance to go to Uniroyal, but I love textile. I didn't leave. I made a lot of less money. But my wife said something that's so essential. It's not how much money you make. It's what you do with it. A lot of people make a lot of money and don't have nothing to show for it.
Yes, sir.
So that's why I got started. I actually got started in textile. When I got into real estate, I was still in the plant. I was playing. I started in 2 phases. I bought a house or 2 and for rental properties. And I went to tax sales. I learned about the tax sales by going and educating myself. I didn't have anybody to help me because, to be honest with you, and I'm not being racial, but I'm being honest.
Yes, sir.
There were no blacks that really knew about the tax sale. It was a secret.
Okay.
So I had some friends at the mill that didn't have no money, had a lot of land. And I got curious and got nosy and found out they was going to the tax sale every year.
Okay.
So I started going to the tax sale, and I sit there for about 2 years and just listen and studied and found some literature on the tax sale, the laws of the state of Alabama, because every state have different laws pertaining to the tax sale.
Okay.
But it has been very good for me. I mentioned a little bit tonight, I got a friend of mine. He's white. Okay. And we are very good friends. And he actually have sold a lot of property for me. And I have done extremely well from tax sale property. So that's one phase of my real estate. My main phase that I really love the most, I buy, sell, rent, and build.
Okay.
So I don't just buy property. What you have to do in real estate, I have never lost a dime. I've always made money.
Okay.
You have to learn to do what the market allows.
Okay.
So right now, you can't buy foreclosures, and that's what I buy is foreclosures.
Okay.
You can't buy they're not there. The market is not. People are making too much money right now. The foreclosures, 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, I bought up everything I could buy. And when you're buying, and at that time, selling wasn't good.
Okay.
So I bought and rented. But now, where we are right now, this is a builders, people that building houses are
Yes,
making
sir.
a fortune. And this is also a good time for rental properties. So rental properties always do good in this area because our economy is so good in Lee County.
Yes, sir.
I actually have never had to go outside the county because this county is the fastest growing county in the state. And we have some good areas, Beauregard, Opelika, Auburn. All those areas are very good growing areas. So real estate does very well. So rental properties is always good. You can't find enough nice rental properties. I'm not a slumlord. I don't have cheap properties.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you get talked about because of that. But I have done something. My son and I have. He has a company and I manage it because he's working on the job. But we don't charge. You can rent our properties without paying a deposit.
Yes, sir.
Our properties are not cheap. All my houses, I got a person that's moving out. The house is valued at $250,000. You just can't own property like that and rent it out cheap.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not a slumlord. I have extremely nice stuff, and in an area like we're in, you get known, so everybody knows it.
Yes, sir.
So I'm constantly getting calls every day. Do I have anything to rent? And so the rental side is very good. And going into real estate business from textile, because I did textile until I got to a point where I had to let something go. So I had three things. I had the church.
Yes, sir.
Which you knew I wasn't going to let go.
No, sir.
I had the textile and real estate. So I had been in management. So I retired at the age of 46. I just started drawing my retirement the last 2.5 years.
Yes, sir.
Which has been great. I'm drawing money from the meal. Somebody told me, so Bishop, you don't need that, baby. This is my money.
Yes, sir.
I need all I can get. And so I just retired. I'm drawing Social Security now. But at the same time, I'm still in real estate, and church is always my first and foremost, most important.
Well, Bishop, listen, you've been a living example on how to make it happen. And a lot of people that may just be hearing you for the first time, they may have heard you preach, but don't actually get a chance to come to our Bible study. This is the stuff that you teach us and you give us for free every Wednesday. And it's been the foundation for me in knowing how to invest and how to move forward. But just for those that may just be getting this information for the first time, that hear about buying the tax office or buying a rental property, what would be the first step that you would need to make in order to buy your first property?
A good thing to do. This is a method I've used. I've never paid a down payment. You've seen that on TV, and it's true. But I was doing it before it started being published. I bought CDs. CDs is what you call junk paper, because back in the 70s, you could get 8, 9, 7% interest, all in that range. But now CDs are paying 1 point something. But the key to it, I never paid a down payment. I have CDs. I put a CD up as down payment. The CD is drawing a little interest. I still got my money. And I get 100% financing. So the first thing you need to do is get you a bank. Go to a bank. The best bank to go to are private banks, because you don't have to go to private bank. But after you get so big, you will, because your big banks won't let you have but so many loans. It's called the Fannie Mae rule. They will only let you have 11 loans or less. But private banks don't go by the Fannie Mae rule. I dealt with Alabama Exchange Bank. They gave me a line of credit, and giving me a line of credit, they didn't feel my wife could keep the company going if something happened to me. So they asked me to take out additional insurance policies. So I had to take out some large insurance policies, especially when I was young. Uh, so if I died, everything would be paid off. But the insurance, and you buy term life. So it wasn't that expensive.
Okay.
But it was necessary. And so I had the insurance. And when I started buying houses, I bought one or two and I was content. And I went to the tax sale and bought a couple of pieces of property. My wife said something to me one night. We talk in the bed all the time. She says, "Why don't you stop playing and get serious?" Said, "Because when I retire," and December 17th, she's retiring. She said, "I want 5 houses and the income from them for myself." She said, "You can have all the rest of them." So I stopped playing and I did what she said. And I started buying up all the foreclosures I could get that were not in real bad shape. And the reason I say that, if a person is a carpenter and that's all he do, he have time to work on them himself. I never have, because of the church, I don't have time to work on my own property. I know carpenter work.
Okay.
But I don't have time, so I have to hire out everything that I get done. So I don't buy houses in real bad shape. I buy them most time when I buy foreclosure, they need a facelift.
Okay.
They need some paint on them, some carpet, hardwood floors, redone, something of that nature. And the house about ready to move in. But I have some friends that I have taught. One of the Hunt brothers, I have taught, well, actually 2 of them, I have taught and they have worked for me over the years, and they have remodeled houses themselves. And one of them got half as many houses as I do.
Okay.
One that stays over in Phoenix City area. He asked me when he was working for me, did I mind him buying some properties? I said, "I'll teach you how to buy them and how to rent them out." And that has been one of my strong methods. I'm able to help some Black people get in houses. They can afford the rent. They just don't have $2,000 or $3,000 in Auburn now. To move into a unit, you need first month rent.
Yes, sir.
Deposit and last month rent. And it just says that the apartment is $1,200-$1,300. You're talking about $3,000 something to move in.
Yes, sir.
And so with me waiving a deposit has helped a lot of people, and it's helped me. It's been a blessing to me. They can rent with a deposit. I tack $50 more onto the rent than I was asking, and they can rent it without a deposit. And that has been, I have taught several guys in the business that was having problems renting their properties. After they use that method, they haven't had any problems. Most people, if they can afford to rent the place, they got the first month's rent. But you'll be surprised that the people just don't have the down payment, the deposit. So that has been one of the key factors to me renting properties out.
And I actually want to rewind back and ask this question too. When it came down to doing your renovations, when you first started buying houses, and everybody's not going to take care of a house, especially sometimes when people know house going into foreclosure, they get bitter and knock holes in walls, and
all of them do that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So just to get that anger out, I guess.
Yeah.
So what is your way of, like, what was the first way that you actually got a team together to deal with that? Like, was it you just went straight to the church, or somebody like myself, I'm trying to get a team together? How would I go about assembling?
Actually, because of my background with my grandfather, I started out doing most of my own maintenance, because remember at the time I was working in the mill.
Yes, sir.
And I started buying houses right before I started pastoring. So I was evangelizing, but I wasn't pastoring. And so I did a lot of my own work. And then I never done electrical work, but I had a very good friend, Quint Martin.
Yes, sir.
And he did 1 or 2 jobs for me and wouldn't let me pay him. So I threatened him not to ever use him if he wouldn't let me pay him, because this was my business.
Yes, sir.
I let him do some work at the church. He would not charge a church. It went past 2 years ago. But I would not let him work on my properties without paying him. Now, he didn't charge me like he would charge regular people. I knew he was cutting me, but I paid him.
Yes, sir.
So, you don't want to try to ever beat anybody or get something for nothing. So from there, Calvin Hunt was my first maintenance man. He started doing maintenance for me, and Charles Hunt, his brother, started doing yard work. But my yard work is only to get a house ready. I don't do yard work after the house is prepared. But I still have to keep the maintenance up. Buying rental properties, 4 things you got to do.
Yes, sir.
You cannot buy property too expensive where it won't pay for itself.
Yes, sir.
It has to cover 4 factors. It has to pay the note. It has to pay the insurance.
Yes, sir.
It has to pay the upkeep and have to pay the taxes. So when you buy a house, you look at how much you're going to rent it for a month. Then you look at the fact of how much you're going to bring in. If it'll pay for itself, if you don't make a dime, just $15, $20 a month profit, that's no money. But after 10 to 15 years, if it pay for itself, you got an income. And that's the way I went after the real estate market. I had a job.
Okay.
I was working in the mill. So I didn't need the money to live off of. Okay. I started using, I let properties pay for themselves. And over the years, my company have paid for itself. I'm 67 now. So I've gotten to a point, most time when I buy now, I pay cash. And when you're making money, you got to learn how to let money make money. Yes, so as God started blessing me, you can't keep this money in CDs. Or CDs, I told you, didn't pay that much. You just keep enough CDs to put down payment on houses. So I started buying stock. I'm not a get rich quick person overnight.
Okay.
That's what messed people up in the stock market. 90% of the millionaires in America now are stock buyers.
Okay.
So when I make a profit, I find me a good stock that pays a good dividend. All my stocks pay dividends. That a dividend is nothing but drawing interest off your money. So I draw interest off every 3 months. I get a check. Now there's a few stock pays every month. The ones I really focus on are the ones pay every 3 months. Okay. I may draw 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The higher interest rate you draw, the more risk you're taking. So you want to balance. So you want to buy more of the 6 back to 1 than you want to buy the 7 to 10, because you're on a scale of 1 to 10. But when you start in the 7 range, you're taking a little more risk. You have to watch your stock. You got to know when to sell. And what I do, I have been doing this so long. Every month, I draw my gain off of my stock, not just a dividend check.
Yes, sir.
I get a gain check. If my stock make $500 or above, I pull all that off. Now, that does not mess with my premium. Whatever I bought the stock for, I still got it there. Okay. But I have less shares. So it'll cut my refund check in 3 months. But when you're drawing, when stock is growing, that's when you really make your money. Because every month you pulling money off of it, and you're getting a check every 3 months off of it. So you got to invest your money and let your money grow. And a lot of people are afraid of the stock market.
Yes, sir.
If you go safe, you do not have to be afraid.
Okay.
Stock is the way most millionaires in 1990, most millionaires in America got rich through real estate.
Yes, sir.
Most people now that are multimillionaires are in the stock market.
Okay. Okay. So
you invest in other people's company.
And I slowly had to make myself not spend every dime I had. Okay. Mm-hmm. Once again, this is stuff I get in Bible study that people be like, well, you just so smart. No, I'll be paying attention. I've been taking notes. So even when it comes down to investing, once you make an increase on the actual investment, stock wise, real estate wise, putting the money back into their
letting
market.
the money make money.
Yes, sir. And being disciplined enough to, well, let me ask you this. This is another question I had on here. So when you start making an increase, do you put all your money back in or do you pay yourself?
You always pay yourself because you got to live.
Yes, sir.
You pay yourself a salary and your excess money, instead of buying a new car every year, upgrading. One of my friends came to my house. I have a nice house. It's nothing fancy. And he says, Mac, when you going to buy you another house? I said, I got the prettiest house in Opelika. He said, what? I said, yeah, it's paid for. I at my early 30s, my wife and I set a goal to be debt-free when I turned 40. We reached that goal when I turned 39. We have been debt-free ever since I was 39 years old. That's a goal that every person needs to set. You may not hit it, but don't get discouraged. Start shooting for another one. But you should always, because one day you're going to retire. I've retired off 2 jobs and still got 2, real estate and church. And I retired. I was textile, and I retired one of my personal jobs, incomes. But when you get to that point, you're going to need some money to fall back on. I like to live now like I did. I've never been a big splurger. I never waste a lot of money, but I buy what I want. I buy expensive stuff sometimes, but I don't. I'm not a person of impression. If you ever start trying to impress people, the only person you're trying to impress is people that don't like you.
Yes, sir.
People that like you don't care if you got, don't have, working hard. They like you. You my friend. But people try to impress folks, and the ones they're trying to impress are really the people that don't care about them. I don't care how my enemy feel about me. He don't like me at the end or the beginning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And once again, these are lessons. Y'all getting all the nuggets that I've been getting in Bible study. Let me go ahead and take time to plug. So we have service on Sundays at 8 a.m. in Camphill, 11 o'clock in Auburn. They're all on Facebook. We have Tuesday night Bible study in Camphill, and we also have a Wednesday night Bible study, which we're just leaving in Auburn, and that is every week. And that Wednesday night Bible study is at 7 p.m. Y'all are missing out on all these good nuggets. Now we get the word. Now the word is gonna come forth, but it's application that makes the difference. So, Bishop, I thank you. I thank you. I didn't mean to stop.
No, I want you to. But
yes,
we've
sir.
got a lot of young people in our church that have listened at my teaching and are doing very, very good. Now, not everybody, but I've had some, quite a few, that are doing extremely well for young people. My son is one. He sit under me. He came to me all the time. Dad, I'm gonna have more money than you do. I'm gonna have a chauffeur and all this stuff. But when he come out of college, I tried to get him to be an entrepreneur. I wanted him to open up a restaurant or something. And he came to me. He said, Dad, this is when I knew my baby had grown up. He said, I know you want me to be an entrepreneur. He said, but I want you to teach me what you know about real estate. He said, if you've been successful doing it, I want to do what you did and be successful. I told my wife when he left, I said, my baby just growed up. He stopped competing with me. Now I can teach him. And that's what I have done. And he's a very good listener. And he's doing extremely well. He's gotten married, got me a little riding 10-month-old grandbaby. I just took the Gulf Shores last week. We had a wonderful time. I have 14 grands, but he's my youngest grand. But my son he works on a job, but he also does real estate, and he's done very well. And he's done, like I've told him, it's not a good time to buy now because there's not a lot of foreclosures. You cannot buy off the regular market and be able to do the 4 things I told you had to do to be able to own rental properties.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna pause and give a shout out to Tony right now.
Okay.
I'm proud of him too, because I seen him grow. Like, we grew up together. We were getting in trouble together. So I'm super proud.
I used to threaten to kill you and him.
Yeah, the fact we still here is a blessing from the Lord, huh? God is good. God is real good. Bishop, I do want to ask you this though. How do you keep up with all these the business side of it? Do you keep a notebook? Do you use like a software, or like
I don't have a software. I'm old school.
Okay.
I have a ledger. I learned how to do a ledger, taking management. That was my major in college, and bookkeeping. Now my CPA fusses at me every year because I got my style that I do, and she wants me to go to some software and stuff, and I won't. But I pay her to do what I tell her to do. So she done gave up on me. But I'm old school, but I keep good records, and you need to, because over the years I've been audited twice. I've never owed the government. Matter of fact, the government owed me $36 the first time they audited me, and I didn't cash the check. She called me a year later, said a $36 check is missing. I said, it's framed up. She said, you got to cash it. I said, I'm not going to cash it. She said, oh, yes, you are. I said, yes, ma'am. So Internal Revenue, the boss. So you need to keep good records, because if you ever get audited, you can't say it. You got to show it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Bishop, let me ask you this, because being saved and working in ministry and being an entrepreneur is different territory. Because, oftentimes people feel like because you're a Christian, you're supposed to give everybody a free pass, and you're supposed to give everybody leeway. And it can be extremely difficult sometimes to maneuver as a entrepreneur. How have you been able to find your grounding in that? Just not getting ran over.
Textile helped me, because I was saved before I left the plant.
Yes, sir.
And I've had to discipline some people. And the first thing they said, I thought you was a preacher. I said, I am. This was my story. I am. If I was your pastor, we wouldn't be here in my office right now, because I teach my people to work as unto the Lord. That's scripture. Then in reality, in real life, renting houses, people will talk bad about you.
Yes, sir.
Anytime you're successful, I teach this. If you can't handle being ridiculed and jealous of, you'll never be successful.
Yes, sir.
Because you're not going to be able to handle it. But you have to learn to separate church and business. I'm your landlord. And I would not rent to a church member. But I had some people that started renting from me, join the church.
Gotcha.
And became deacons. Deacon Jackson was the first one. He's passed now, but his wife is still one of my faithful members and missionary. So I lost that motive. I rent to saints, but I rent to them on the same grounds I rent to other people. To rent my houses, because they're expensive, you just about going to have 2 incomes or an extremely good job. And that goes for saints or people in the world. So you have to separate business and church. I'm the pastor of God House of Prayer, but I'm the landlord of McLeod Corporation.
Because you got to eat, your family got to eat, you got to put clothes on your back. And
I've been blessed in 30 years. I've been to court 8 times for evictions. One was last week, but that was the 8th time. And that's a miracle. But I try to screen people and know their income. And if people you give people a nice place to live and they can afford it, you don't have problems out of it.
Listen, Bishop, and I'm just so glad that you work in the integrity that you do. And it's another tidbit I want to add in, because I promise I'm going to let you go to sleep tonight. And we're going to let everybody absorb all this good word. But not only do you get your money, but you believe in paying people when it comes down to working. Like when you said when Quint was trying to work for you, and he wouldn't take a salary, wouldn't take the funds. you believe in paying people on time because you want to get your check on time when you go clock in on the job. That's just
Right.
a tidbit I want to make sure I give to the people that you giving to me. I'm gonna share it to them. But yeah, paying your tithes and making sure you do right by your business, pay your taxes on time. People, y'all are here. I see y'all in the comment section. I see y'all in the numbers. Do right by business. Give unto Caesar what is due unto Caesar.
That's right.
Don't just be so saved that you feel like, well, you know what, God is gonna supply, and they ought to understand that I'm a Christian. But the fact that you're a Christian should be even more reason why you pay your bills on time.
That's right.
So
don't be slothful in business.
Yes,
because
sir.
If you do, you can't have that line of credit you're gonna need. At some point, you're gonna have to get in some debt. Now, I've been out of debt since I was 40. My business has been deep in debt until I was probably up in my 50s because I was constantly buying houses, and the houses have to pay for themselves. I've never paid for a house out of my pocket. Even now, if I pay cash for one, it's out of capital. And when you run a business, you cannot spend all your money. You need a capital account, and that's strictly for the business. Wow. Tuskegee had a Holiday Inn, 5 guys on it. They were all wealthy. I know all of them. But every quarter, they pulled all the money out. When 5 years was up and they had to remodel, they didn't have any money. Nobody wanted to borrow money. So it ended up losing. The Holiday Inn became Tuskegee Inn. Then it became Slum Inn, and they tore it down. But it was because they didn't have a capital account. They made plenty of money. But when you're making a lot of money, you can't take all of it and put it in your pocket in your personal bank account. You got to have a capital account. And that's what helps your business grow.
Okay. Bishop, there's been some good tidbits. It's been, hopefully the people took notes. I had a pen and a piece of paper in here, but what I'm going to do is go back and watch the replay so I can make sure that I get all my money in this season. I'm going to get mine.
And pay your tithes. I pay my tithes.
Yes,
I tithe. So I tell everybody, if you rob God, you won't be blessed. But if you pay your tithes, God's going to bless you.
Well, Bishop, question with that. So when you're making money in your business, do you pay tithes on all the money that the business makes directly, or do you pay tithes out of the salary you make for your?
I pay tithes out of what I pay me. I don't pay tithes out of the capital because I put that capital goes back into the business. But I pay tithes out of my increase, out of everything I make. I pay tithes out of what I make in the stock market. I pay tithes out of what I make through real estate.
Okay. And that's the question that I have been meaning to ask. So I'm glad that it's out here and we can share it to the world.
I'm not on salary as a pastor. But I said this in a message on TV this week because we're on television every day at 11 o'clock on Charter Cable, Sunday mornings at 7, Sunday night at 6. But I said this, when you are a pastor, you still owe God his tithe. And if a pastor like myself don't have to live off of tithing, you're still supposed to take care of your pastor. I am one of the few that God have blessed. I don't need it. But if I needed it, it's not wrong for the church to take care of me. The Bible says, if I plow the field, the ox that treads the corn deserve to be fed out of what he treads.
That's word. Man, Bishop, this has been good tonight. When I tell you, I'm so thankful and I am grateful that you took out time and thought it not robbery to come on to the Open Door Live tonight and share all this wisdom. I couldn't even read all the comments that were over here, but I do want to ask this.
Okay.
Y'all, any questions that you have before we log off tonight? I want to make sure we utilize this time and, this is for entrepreneurs. This is for the faith walkers and the door knockers. So if there's any questions, I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to share what questions you have, and we'll try to get those answered tonight.
Anything they want to ask, I'll be glad to answer. But I want to see more of our people become entrepreneurs. Don't get in a hurry and learn everything about a business. Don't jump out and do something because somebody else is doing it. That's why it took me a while to get into real estate and buying property at tax sale. I did the background, knew what I was getting into. And just because somebody else successful, that don't mean you'll be.
Yes, sir.
But if you work hard at what you really learn, the ground floor, you need to know everything about your business.
Bishop, how often does the tax sale take place?
Every year in Lee County, every county is different in the state. And Lee County is the first Wednesday in May at 10 o'clock at the courthouse.
Okay. Y'all wrote that down?
I've taught many people to do it, and some people don't like it. You got to hold property 3 years in Alabama before you can get deeds to it. And some people don't like that process, but you never lose a dime. If people redeem their property, used to be 12% interest till last year. Now you get 8% interest on your money and all your money back.
Okay.
So whatever you put it in the market, you're gonna make 8% if you don't get the property.
Okay. Listen, I'm down. I'm gonna get my money now or later. You got one of your members over here, evangelist for Linda White, prophetess for Linda White. She wants to know, would you be willing to do a seminar on a Saturday to help people learn how to get into real estate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And for y'all that don't know, that's my mama. So I'm gonna acknowledge my mama. But you know, even without doing the seminar, when we have the debt cancellation revival, that's another part of the ministry that we've had for some years now. We have financial advisors that come in that talk about investing, life insurance,
stocks,
how to start investing, all that is covered. And you know, we have a lot of big artists that come in the midst of that. But those classes take place before the actual service starts. If you're missing the classes and you just getting the dessert of it, y'all missing. You got to get the whole thing. Be there at the beginning. You got to get the appetizer. You got to get the full course meal in the middle and get the dessert at the end. So when I like to say when outside opens back up and this pandemic is over, we get back to doing that. Y'all be in the building. It's gonna be really worth the while. So. Bishop, hold on, let me see. Bishop mentioned that when investing, take your gains and leave the principal. Let's see if you can see it. Bishop.
Yes. Well, when you're buying stock, if you got a good stock, you don't want to sell it. So what you do, you can do it monthly or quarterly. I do it monthly. I pull my gain off, but I leave my principal there. I just example, if I paid $5,000, bought $5,000 worth for this stock, I always keep my $5,000 because it's a good stock. Now, if it turns, it stop paying a dividend, stock does that. If stock paying a dividend, the market sort of swing. Before it drops, I try to sell it.
Okay.
If it drops, sometime when it drops on you and you can't catch it, you'll have to hold it. Now, some stocks pay a dividend, stop paying a dividend. I'm a dividend buyer. Young people can buy for gain. They can go at stocks that's recommended that it's going to gain in the next year or two. And that's what my son does, Tony. He don't buy dividends like I do. He go for gains and then cash out. And I don't go for gains. I don't have time to watch. If you play for games, if you invest for gains, you really need to stay on top of it every day. And I don't. I have a broker that calls me and give me my tips. Raymond James, investment firm, and Edward Jones.
Okay. So I'm gonna go to the next question, but I'm gonna also ask this. So when you have a financial advisor, is there an amount of money that you need to have when it comes down to having a financial advisor?
No, because he's not going to make any money until you make a buy.
Okay.
Now that's some stocks like a IRA, IRA, and I have an IRA, but mine's what's called an IRA account. I pay after taxes, so I can go in there and get any amount out. I don't have to pay taxes on it.
Okay.
Not even on the interest that's made on it, because I invested it after I paid taxes. It was money out of my pocket. It wasn't out of my income off my job. If you do it like that, you have to pay taxes on it when you take money out, and the taxes are very high then.
Okay.
Because it draws a lot of interest.
Man, when I tell you I'm learning tonight, okay, this is gonna be the last question, and that question is, and I kind of can answer it myself, but I'm gonna let you answer it as well. How much money does it take to get started in the stock market?
It does depend on how much the stock costs that you buy. You don't really have to have any big money. It's good if you have maybe $1,000. That'll give you a real good start. But you really don't have to have any money. It's not. My first CD I bought was $356. After then, I raised it some, but that was my first one. I had to have a start somewhere. I didn't have that much money.
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna say this: depending on what platform you start off with, I use Robinhood, which is a digital platform. There is zero broker fees.
Right.
And
you do your own, pick your own stock.
Yes, sir. Now, there are certain limitations to when you can buy and the amount. There's certain red tape you have to go through, but it is a wonderful platform to get started on if you just want to try to get your money into the market. I've seen increase for myself. I've made money on that platform, and yeah, I would totally recommend it.
You do not have to have a broker. I have one because I don't have time to watch the market. I don't have time to study the market. So that's why I go through a company.
Yes, sir. Now, and I said that was the last question, but this is one of our young members, and he is in college at Troy, and he wanted to know if you're a college student that's interested in real estate, should you take business courses outside of
the best course you can take is economics.
Okay.
Economics was the best course. We didn't have it in my high school. I went to a rural school, Delaware County Wolf. Economics have helped me. Even now, I still use some of the knowledge that I got in college out of my economics class.
Okay. Okay. Listen, hopefully we covered some ground that helped somebody. Everybody's saying that it was very informative. We got a lot of God House of Prayer in here. I got some of my friends and family from Atlanta. Y'all have come in. Y'all have supported. I'm so grateful that y'all can be here so I can honor my pastor on tonight and take in some much needed wisdom and knowledge as I try to take care of my family and I try to grow and go higher in the Lord. Hopefully y'all are trying to grow and go higher in the Lord as well. So Bishop, I just want to thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. And hopefully we'll see about trying to get you back on again, because tonight has been an amazing show.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm so glad to be here. And I'm so proud of you being my spiritual son. Keep up the good work.
Bishop, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Y'all know as soon as this show is over, I'm going to go over to IG just so we can have some extra feedback and have some more dialogue. Because, I can't let everybody come in here and talk at one time. But on Instagram, it's a little bit different. So at the Open Door Live on IG, come on over there and I'll talk to y'all there. But until then, I will see you next Wednesday. I love you all and God bless y'all. Thank y'all so much.